Before we get into this episode, we'd like to do a trigger warning. This story talks about death and suicide ideation.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It is your sis Qadar and I'm back. And you're listening to the Digital Sisterhood podcast. Before we get into the episode, I want to talk a little bit about our Patreon membership. Just before we begin, I want to give a little bit of a thank you to all of our Patreon members that have been week in and week out donating and contributing to these episodes. These episodes mean a lot to a lot of people. Like, I get messages every day and every minute, every hour about how important this podcast is to them. And for everyone that donates, for everyone that joins as a Patreon, is contributing to this khair, this goodness that is helping women and men feel less alienated, feeling more inspired to get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's a beautiful avenue to give and be a part of something that is more than just ourselves, but for the greater good. And so if you really want to there's a lot of good in this. I would be doing a disservice if I didn't tell you how much goodness there is in this and how far, your sadaqah will go. You don't know how many stories have positively impacted them. And imagine if your sadaqah was part of that goodness for somebody getting close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I cannot even imagine the amount of reward that's possible for you and I. So don't miss out on it. Help us keep running this podcast. Join our Patreon at www.thedigitalsisterhood.com. You'll see it on our website to join the Patreon. As a member, there's 3 tiers. Check it out. And yeah, let's get to the episode. So Faysa Abdul, I actually didn't know Faysa for a very long time. I knew about her, but it was only up until recently we became really cool and really close. And it's funny if everyone remembers of Hilal's episode, I talked about, or Hilal even mentioned about, there was a tragedy that had happened of a close friend of Hilal's that, spurred Hilal into a trajectory to change her life and get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I also mentioned that I was at the masjid at this janazah of a young woman, a young girl, and there was all of this shabab and this youth that came to the masjid that I had never seen before. And all of these people that were just like, I'm changing my life right now. And I was like, oh my God, who is this person? Like, I remember thinking, like, who is the person that passed away? Allah yarhamah. And why? Why was it like such a big deal for so many people at the time? And I met so many incredible people during that period that came to the masjid after that tragic death. And they were just the most incredible people and the most sincerest people I ever met. And that sister that passed away, her older sister, name was Faysa. I knew she was going through a lot at this time period, at the moment. And Qadar Allah ma sha fa'ala, although I wanted to get her on the podcast, Allah set it up in a way where He got her to say, hey, I feel this strong inclination to come on your podcast and share my story. And I was like, oh my God, I was going to ask you. You were a part of this season. It's crazy that you've come before I could get to you, because I wouldn't have, because of what she was experiencing at the time. And subhanAllah, it was as if Allah planned this very moment. So this is Faysa's story.
My name is Faysa Abdul, as you guys know. I was born and raised in Toronto. I grew up with 9, including me, 9 beautiful siblings, 6 brothers, 3 sisters, my wonderful mom and father. And honestly, I cannot start anything, first of all, like alhamdulillah for the childhood I did have, and alhamdulillah for the mother that I have. Because I cannot be the woman sitting in front of you, Qadar, or the person that I am today without her. And you don't know me if you don't know Muhammad, if you don't know Fortune, if you don't know Fatima, if you don't know Mahmoud, if you don't know me, if you don't know Ilyas, Tahir, Mahad, Ahmed, you don't know me if you don't know my family. That's how tight-knit we were growing up. We prided ourselves in the friendship we created among ourselves. And it's 9 of us. You don't need friends. We didn't need the outside world, right?
You really didn't. 9 people? I'm sorry. Who has any room for anybody else?
You don't. I'm telling you. So we grew up incredibly closer than the average family, I would say.
Yeah.
And that's all thanks to my mom. Something about my mom, it's hard. I don't want to cry 5 minutes into this, right? I don't want to.
We're going to suck it back in.
So, but my mom, honestly, I can't begin to describe the beauty of her inside and out. Everybody who compliments me and tells me that I'm an amazing mother, or that Faysa, you're so resilient, or Faysa, you're so strong, subhanAllah, like, even though I don't think that's necessarily what it is that I'm doing, everything about me in that sense is due to Amina Hirsiqara, is due to my mother and the woman that I got to see growing up, and the type of mother she was to us, and how sweet, affectionate, caring, understanding she's been my entire life. Everybody who knows me, who knows my family, knows this about our mother. And she's always been that kind of woman. She's adopting everybody, come in. Like, if you come to my house, you feel like one of us.
Yeah.
That's how we are.
Yeah.
We have an inviting spirit, and that's on behalf of my mother.
Yeah.
And I pray that I can be even 1/4 of the woman she's been. So I'm a regular girl growing up in Toronto, and I wouldn't necessarily say I came from the most religious background, but we were always God conscious. So my mother was very, like, she did take us to Duksi. She did show us in her actions and in her words. Like, she always told us, like, about Allah and taught us the basics. But there wasn't much depth to it, but it wasn't like we were distant, right? It was just kind of like the regular way of growing up in the Somali community almost, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I lived a pretty basic life. I was this nerdy, Halal can vouch for this. I was this really nerdy Somali girl who just liked to read. I was always I wouldn't say the outcast, but I was always kind of the other in terms of, especially like my family. So I had my little sister. I had my little sister Fortune, who was a year younger than me, but she was like 6'1", okay?
Mm-hmm.
So I was like,
mashallah.
Yeah, mashallah. She was incredibly tall. So she was a year younger than me, and she was really popular.
Wow.
So she was the opposite of me.
Yeah. So you were the nerd. Wait, I'm shocked right now.
I
You were
know.
the nerdy one?
Listen, all the clout I got was because of her. All the clout.
And this whole time I thought you were popular because you were popular.
I'm not. No,
And then you were riding off your sister's popularity. Who
Yes.
freaking knew?
What do you think? You think Halal's my friend, Qadar? She is not my friend. She's not my friend. She was Fortune's friend, Allah Hafizah. And basically, so she was really popular. She was, but we did share similar friends and friend groups because, again, my mother and my father raised us upon, you are nothing without your sibling. They always told us that. The person beside you, that should be your only friend. So there was pairs.
Yeah.
There's 9 of us. So everybody had a pair. Everybody had a pair.
Yeah.
So my pair was Fortune.
Oh, wow.
Ahmed's pair, the youngest, was Hoya. His pair was my mom, right? Young baby syndrome, right?
Yeah.
But everybody had a pair. We all had our best friends. We were born with them.
Yeah.
I had Fortune,
Yeah.
and she was always cooler than me. She was always more bubblier, always more active, and she always fought for what was right. And there was nobody who knew her who couldn't tell you that. She hated bullies. Let me tell you something. She used her 6'1" height
For you.
to full advantage. I promise you that much. Got me in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
But alhamdulillah, she wasn't having it. Nope. If she felt like you were bullying, bothering, she was not someone, but she was very opinionated. She was so affectionate.
Oh.
Fortune, if you were her friend and she loved you, she's hugging you, she's kissing you right now, Qadar.
Oh.
She did not care. A lot of people would tell me Fortune was my first kiss. She kissed me on the cheek. She would kiss me on the cheek. She was like that. She was like my mom in that sense, right?
Oh my God. The first kiss has me.
Right? No, but she
Because,
was...
we don't grow up affectionate. In a
I
household,
know.
so you can imagine, like, your friend kissing you on the cheek.
I
like,
know.
"What, sis?"
It's crazy because I only just recently found out that Somalis are not affectionate.
Yeah.
I just automatically assume everyone's like my mom.
Yeah.
And my mom right now, like, if you sit beside her and she's talking to you, she will make you feel like you and her are the only person in the world.
Wow.
She's going to hold your hand.
Inshallah.
She's going to touch your face. Like, my mom was always the most affectionate. And I'm proud to say that I am an affectionate mother like her. You know what I mean?
I love that.
My kids, they get all the kisses.
Guess what? I see it. I know they get all the kisses. I bet you smother them.
I do.
You look like the mom.
I
that
hope
does.
it doesn't cause them issues as adults. But no, so Fortune was like my mom. In every sense of the word, she was like my mom. She was outgoing. She was, she was beautiful. She was so like kind-hearted and sweet. You know what I mean? And I was always more timid. So I didn't really have much of a personality trait. You could say that. Like, I was just always very timid, very shy, very like to myself. I had the same friends most of my life growing up. So subhanallah, so we move out to Brampton. Okay. I'm 18 years old. I get my license, working at McDonald's. I'm a cool girl, right?
Popping.
Right? And then, like, at that time, nobody was really driving, or nobody really had, like, a car to drive. I would say I was blessed with a lot of freedom as a child. And I wouldn't say that in a, like, oh, my mom just... No,
didn't care.
mean, yeah.
Not in a I didn't care way.
She trusted us.
Yeah.
My mom trusted us fully. She trusted me specifically a lot. You know,
because you were the responsible one.
Yes, I was. I'm still
the timid, the shy is always the responsible one as well.
Yeah. So I was a new driver, and me and my sister, we would ride around. We were riding around the city together.
Up, you know what I'm saying? We were those cool girls. Whose parents gave them a car and you could drive it where.
Exactly.
And I bet you guys were generous. Picking up
we
everywhere.
were, because we got that again from our mom. The generosity, right? We didn't think about gas money. We didn't think about how long it took. We were just riding around the city. You know what I mean? So September 2012, I was 18 years old. And regular day, me and my sister and a few friends of ours, we go out for a drive.
Faysa and Fortune and two of their friends were driving around. Faysa was going to drop off Fortune and her friend, and when they finally made it there, Fortune comes out of the vehicle, so does her friend, and they're standing in front of the vehicle. Faysa tries to back out to leave, but instead she presses the gas for the car to move forward. The car jumps forward. Although her friend got away, the vehicle hit Fortune.
Imagine, I'm 18 years old. I'm confused, Abaya. Confused, Qadar. I don't understand what's going on. I see my sister. I see blood. I see her lifeless. And I can honestly tell you this, Qadar, when I say I don't recall the next 2 months after that. And anyone who's seen me within that 2-month period can tell you that. I had no understanding of it. Why would this happen to me? What did I do? I was a good person. I was nice to people. I didn't like to fight. Why would God do this to me? That was what my first thought process was. I didn't think I deserved it. So I spent years fighting with guilt, fighting with what I did and did not deserve, and allowing my life and making my life harder because I felt like I didn't deserve to live. And I was just too coward to kill myself. I tried, and it didn't work, and I didn't want to see my mom hurt any more than she was.
When Fortune passed away, right, and I was at that janazah. I didn't know Faysa, I didn't know Fortune, but I had seen so many people that I had never seen before at the masjid who had decided they were going to change their life for the better. And I remember at that moment being at the janazah thinking, oh my God, subhanAllah, look at all this shabab. I've never seen this much youth. You know, I kept thinking, oh my God, if I pass away, will I have this kind of impact, right? Will people reflect on my death and say, I'm going to put on the hijab because, you know, I was important to them and I inspired them to change their life, giving me an opportunity to kind of, you know, mean something to somebody. You know, I kept thinking like, my value as a person at this very moment and what that would mean after the day I passed, you know, and I never really used to give thought to that. You know, you don't really give thought to that. Like, how are you going to exist when you pass? Into people's hearts and people's lives. And I remember thinking, subhanAllah, look at the impact Fortuna. It is a testament of the kind of person she was, you know, and the kind of girl. And I personally reflected on that. But not even on top of that, there was chitter chatter at the time where it was like, subhanAllah, somebody, you know, a person was, you know, saw the death of her sister, you know, was, you know, some people would, you know, loosely say, oh, she, you know, accidentally, you know, hurt her sister. And you can imagine like feeling like you're a participant, right? They always say there's a few types of qadr that's very difficult to accept, right? The qadr, that the decree that happened to you by your own hands, the decree that happened to you by somebody else's hands. You know, there's different forms of qadr that's, you know, very difficult to accept. And the kind of decree that was tested on Faysa is the most difficult kind of decree to accept. So you can imagine the concern the community had for Faysa. How was she going to weather this storm? How was she going to recognize what this really was? That this was something that was decreed from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself, right? And not to put herself as, I did this. You know, I if I had done this, this would have never happened. You know, how does she move past this? How? Especially to a sibling you loved and that you were so close to. How do you move past this? And that was a question that was lingering, you know, in all of our minds, was how was Faysa going to move on?
I came pretty early, and it's so crazy, Adar, because I only ever knew or heard or even recall this because a friend, Halal, and another friend of ours told me. So that's how gone I was. That's how mentally, like, I don't recall my sister's janazah whatsoever. And hearing it from Halal's perspective or hearing it from our friend's perspective, Layla, they seen me see my sister, right? It was crazy to think that that moment for them is what allowed them to be the women that they are today. And when we reunited years later and they told me that, it's crazy to think that that was you. I remember I remember they were forcing me to see my sister. Like, I remember the ayayas. You know how...
Yeah, they said see your sister.
Yeah, you go see her. She's clean. She's everything. You know what I mean?
Goodbyes.
Say your goodbyes. And I'm in this janazah and I'm like, I don't want to be here. This is not happening. What are you guys talking about? So I was in denial. I was in complete denial. I said, I don't know what you guys are speaking about. This is not going on. I don't think I stopped crying for months. So I go into the room. The way that I was told the story was I was in the room and I remembered like bits and pieces. I don't know. I didn't even know that Halal and Layla, I don't remember anyone being in the room because in that moment, it was just me and this dead body that was once alive. That was once my whole heart. That was once my sister. You know what I mean? And I see her and I just remember seeing her wrapped up, right? With the white and she had the hijab and I remember her lips being really pink and I remember her smiling a little. And I remember crying on top of her to wake up. And from the story that I was told was that they were literally pulling me off of her body because I couldn't accept it, right? It's a hard thing to accept, especially at that age, right? And according to what I was told, they were pulling me from her body, trying to separate us because I was hysterical. I couldn't understand it. So it's hard, you know, to know that, like, that moment changed so many people's lives. You know what I mean? And I couldn't even remember it.
Yeah, because it was a nightmare.
It was a nightmare.
I think your body might have been trying to recover. You know, like our brains do things because of trauma to protect us. You know, you hear about stories of, like, you know, kids who go through really traumatic experiences at a young age, like molestation stuff, and they'll shut off.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And the brain does it to protect.
Yeah, yeah. So I guess that's what happened to me. And I think in that moment, for me, I just didn't understand death.
Yeah.
Really and truly, that's what it came down to. I didn't understand death. Why wasn't she moving? Why are we here? What's going on? Like, I just didn't, none of it made sense to me. And I refused to leave that janazah without her. I refused. In my mind, in that trauma, in that moment, I wasn't. It would have, I don't know how I left, but in that moment, I was like, no, this is not happening. I can't live without her. I don't want to. Months go by, and I remember everybody was putting on the hijab. I remember in our age group, right? Except me. I said no. I didn't want to. Now I'm rebelling because when the accident happened, right? I remember literally on the floor of the scene, crying to the sky, like, Ya Allah, like I don't know anything. I don't know, like, how to even make a proper dua. And I remember screaming, Ya Allah, please, please make her okay. With blood on my hands, on my clothes. Ya Allah, please make her okay.
Like right there.
Right there. Please, Ya Allah, whatever you need, I will do it. Please make her okay. And I will never forget being in the police car and being driven away from the scene and being told that she was dead. And getting that sinking feeling in your heart, in your stomach, like emptiness almost, right? It's a crazy feeling, grief, incredibly crazy feeling. And I remember feeling that, and just not, like, I was gone mentally. There was no Faysa for a really long time. And I know a lot of my friends at the time who knew me before the accident, like, I had two of my best friends that I grew up with. I remember they would always tell me that there's Faysa before the accident and there was Faysa after. Whoever you were after was not you. So moving, like, I remember everybody was putting on the hijab, Halal, Layla. I remember all the girls from Izzy and Dix and everybody. Yeah. And I'm sitting there and I'm like everybody's coming to me. They're trying to give me da'wah. We're all new to it. Mind you, we're all young girls and we're new to it. None of us knew what we were doing. Like, you know, and everyone's trying to, like, and I remember there was that, like, whole, like everybody felt like they needed to save me. And I didn't want to be saved. I did not. I wasn't having it. And I remember coming to these halakas, all of us inexperienced. Me, Halal, we're all inexperienced. And everybody's waiting for Faysa to put on the hijab. Or for Faysa, because they're waiting because I assume, I don't know if I'm wrong, Halal has to correct me, but I assume everybody's feeling like, yo, like,
it's peaceful
this is how we can get her better. I know that collectively my
Yeah.
community was trying to help me.
Yeah.
In the best way that they knew how. And I took offense to it.
Wow. So you were upset.
I was upset.
That people were dragging you to the masjid.
I remember Halal. I remember Halal and Layla having a halakha.
Yeah.
This is like the beginning. And they had a halakha, and I was forced to go, and I was like,
I was like, will you bring me here?
Why are you guys always trying to talk to me about this stuff? Like, you know, because in my head I'm like, yo, if Allah had a chance, like, subhanallah, but I felt like I had that chance to really, like, I felt like if Allah truly loved me, if Allah wanted me, if Allah wanted me to be the best Muslim, He would have never taken my sister.
SubhanAllah.
That's how I felt. SubhanAllah.
So
May Allah forgive me for those thoughts. But that's how I felt.
You were angry.
Angry. Livid. At everybody. I had some severe anger issues. So I come to this halakha once, SubhanAllah, may Allah forgive me. And I remember arguing with everybody. I remember arguing to the point where everybody said, oh God, this girl, like, jinn, there's a jinn in her. Like, that was the conclusion, you know? And I remember
Oh
just
my
saying,
God.
yo, bun this. And like I had a vendetta out against them now. Now it's war. You guys want me to be religious? No, I'm taking all your minions. Subhanallah. May Allah forgive.
Because you were angry.
I was
You were
angry.
You were angry, bro.
I wasn't having
And you're
it.
confused about everything.
And may Allah bless Hilal and Layla
yeah, I mean,
because they never gave up on me.
wow, I'm gonna get emotional.
I know.
Jonathan, where's the tissue? Jonathan, where's the tissue? My God, I can't do this. Forget, you're not gonna cry. I'm gonna cry. That's who's supposed to cry in this episode. Damn.
Right?
Okay.
It definitely benefited me later on in life to be able to know I had those kind of friends.
Yeah. Wow. You're super lucky.
Yeah.
Because people like when people even try to help friends, it's not always they really care to help.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and these friends obviously really were trying to help because even when you cussed them out,
They still came back.
They stayed by. They said no.
Yeah, they said no.
No,
They
wallahi,
said
they're
no.
real ones. May
They
Allah
are.
reward Hilal and Layla with the highest level of Jannah for that because those are real people. So what happened? So they're bringing you the halaqah, you're cussing them out.
I said no, I'm not having this.
Okay.
I'm not having this. And I battled with it for a long time, and I felt like I just was harsh. I was harsh, and I didn't allow myself to even think about religion. So I would say 2013, I was incredibly depressed. Incredibly. And I just couldn't be home. I couldn't face my family. I couldn't see my siblings. I couldn't see my mom. I had an incredible amount of guilt. And I felt like there was no point of living. And I had these suicidal thoughts. I really was down bad. Iman wise, there was none. I can't even talk about. In 2013, I can't even sit here and talk about how it must have been for me, like, and what I was dealing with there was none. There was no Iman. There was no God consciousness. There was no sense of faith. I didn't want to be here, and I made that incredibly clear and known. You could not, it was hard to even chill with me for more than 2 hours because I cried continuously and constantly, and I was always in a state of trying to be as like unaware as possible. You know what I mean? And I couldn't come down to the real world. I couldn't accept my reality. And I couldn't even go home sometimes, you know what I mean? And so that's 2013. So 2013, I spent most of that year just really depressed and down. And I remember hearing from somebody that they heard that I like lost my mind or something like that. And you know me, I don't know what it is with me and trying to just prove things to people, right? Because even right after my sister died, everybody was like being very careful about me with cars. And I remember just stealing the car, like maybe a week after, like, and just leaving for no reason. Even though driving gave me incredible anxiety attacks. I did it because I wanted to prove that I could. So I remember somebody coming to me telling me, Faysa, oh my God, you're okay. I heard you lost your mind. I heard you're in the hospital. I heard this and that. And at this point, I don't think like Instagram and stuff like that was popping at these times. But like, so there wasn't no real way to prove whether I was good. You know how it is with social media. You can prove there was no real way. So that offended me a lot. So I spent the next 2 years proving that I was good in the worst ways possible. Indulging in the wrong things and involving myself with bad actions and ultimately becoming a bad person. Subhanallah. And this whole, if there's like anything I want to gain out of this, it's accountability. And it's being accountable for myself, for who I want to be in the future and who I was in the past. And as like, you know, Qadar, you know me, we know each other. It's all love. It was always been love, right?
Yeah,
but alhamdulillah, you met me at a very good time in my life.
Yeah.
But before that, I was dealing with a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing anything in my power to seem good.
Yeah, seem good, straight.
Seem amazing.
Mm-hmm. That you're having the time of your life.
That I'm having the time of my life.
And
right?
that you moved past it.
I've moved past it, and I'm living my best hot girl life. That's what I was trying to do, right?
Yeah.
And in doing so, I indulged in bad and whatever. And subhanAllah, like Allah tells us, right? Like Allah tells us, when Allah gave us the Quran and gave us the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam as an example, it's really and truly for our good, right? Because we're just trying to do good and be good and be good to people. So when we indulge in bad, how can I say I'm a good person and everything about me is bad? Truly, like, you know what I mean? What I involve myself in, like, no matter what actions I can cover, like, no matter what it is that I can make myself seem like I'm doing, if I'm continuously harming myself, if I'm continuously putting myself in incredibly dangerous and bad positions, like, of course, naturally, this lifestyle is going to get to me. It's going to get to my heart. And my heart was already black with depression. Now it's black with not only just depression, but the lifestyle I was leading. I felt like everybody was on eggshells around me. Everybody closest to me, like really close to me, like my mother or my brothers or my like close friends, you know, they were on eggshells because she seems good. She seems happy. Let her, like, if this is what is going to allow her to smile, then what can we do, right? So I kind of took that to my advantage. And again, like, back to my mom, who, amazing, right? She seen that I was going through so much, and she would just try to talk to me every night. She'd just try to talk to me. She never made me feel judged. She never made me feel bad. I would not come home sometimes. The door was always open. She always gave me a hug. We were all like, she never made me feel like comfort wasn't in her arms. So even if I was dealing with all of these demons inside or outside, I always felt safe with Hoya.
Pause. I know. The story is getting so good. But wait, I have a message for you that you're going to want to hear, okay? Have you been looking for an opportunity to reconnect your faith by building a relationship with the Quran, or even learning Quranic Arabic, or even getting your questions answered about different rulings? Well, let me tell you, the Ribat Academic Institute is an online program that provides traditional Islamic education for women by women. Yes, you heard me right. Islamic education for women by women. Yes, all the courses are taught by female scholars. Allah Mubarak. You have a choice from over 50 courses ranging from Sirah to Tajweed to Fiqh and Hadith. You can even take classes like the 99 Names of Allah, or Purifying the Heart, or the reflections from the Quran, and the lessons from the life of the Prophet ﷺ, as well as a Mentorship Matters program on how to guide and support and help others. Ribat's online classes have been reconnecting Muslim women from all around the world with their faith and helping them reclaim their traditionally held leadership roles in Islamic scholarship, mentorship, and community care. All classes are held live online, and recordings are posted after class. And the courses, guys, the courses are affordable. They're not expensive at all. They also provide country discounts, and scholarships are available. So there's no reason why you shouldn't sign up. So if you're interested, visit Rabata, that's rabata.info/TDS, and register today.
And sometimes the thing that made me feel bad was knowing that I wasn't being the best version of myself, you know, and I know that's what she wanted for me, right? And she would always try to tell me, like, go, like, you know, seek Allah, seek forgiveness. Like, you know, like, you have, Faysa, you were just a sabab. You were just a reason. You know what I mean? Don't let this eat you up. Understand. Like, she always tried to make me understand. Like, Hoya, please try to pray. Try to do this. These things will make you feel better. And again, I'm in this war, right? I'm in this war with myself and my relationship that I refuse to have with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Subhanallah. I refuse to have it. I refuse to hear it. And something I think that really clicked for me sometime around the end of 2015 was Ramadan 2015. The first Ramadan I fasted the entire month. The first Ramadan, and I remember doing it because I was living with friends and their family, right? And one thing I love about them is they take Ramadan really seriously. Like they don't play. So I was living with them. They're like, "You're staying in our house? Listen, girl, you're praying 5. You're fasting every day. We're not having it. We don't care what you do after Isha." They were serious. No, wallahi, they were so serious. So I was like, okay, damn, I'm stuck here. So I guess I have to, right?
Yeah.
So I did, and I'm so grateful that I did. Because I think that 2015 Ramadan, was the Ramadan that changed the course of my heart first.
Wow.
So I'm praying, I'm feeling a little bit lighter, I'm feeling better, subhanAllah. And because I'm fasting, because I'm inside, there was a lot of things happening that could have been fatal that I missed, and I tried to put on the hijab for like a day or two, but you know how it is. How old was I? 2015. I think I was like 20. You know how it is. You put on the hijab. I'm wearing this super colorful like hijab, whatever. And like none of my friends are hijabis, right?
Yeah.
So they're always like, "Yo, Faysa, you gonna wear that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you know
Faysa,
what, guys,
you
you're
serious?
right. Yeah, you know what, my hair looks cuter like that. You're right."
Yeah.
So that's the thing, right? With the society, with the society we live in now, like everybody who I'm talking about is Muslim.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm being mocked for wearing the hijab.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's the society we live in now. So I remember 2015 comes and goes, and I'm becoming a bit more God conscious. I'm not actively looking, like, I'm not like searching or like reading about things, but something in my heart changed where like every time I'm with my friends, I'm like, you guys, like this can't be it. This can't be everything. This can't be like what there has to be. Like, you start having that aqli where you're aware. You start thinking more about this dunya, and I feel like for so long I was like kind of in a box, in my own world, in my own sorrows, in my own like, you know what I mean? Like there was nothing more than this box I created for myself. I didn't think about the hereafter. I didn't think about akhirah. I didn't think about punishment. I didn't think about Jannah. I didn't think about none of that. I convinced myself that death is just blackness. Like there's nothing.
There's nothing after.
There's nothing after. I convinced myself that to make myself feel better about not only just Fortune's death, but about the way I was living my life. Right? And something I realized too is like, I remember I'm at this place where I'm like, thinking more about the deen, and I'm talking to my friends about it. And I'm like, yo, you guys, like, I want this for myself. Like, I want to actually be this person. And we're all encouraging each other. We are, but there's no change, and this is why it's incredibly important to, like, I loved these girls at this time in my life. These friends that I have, I love them. I'll always love and respect them. But regardless, your friends and your surroundings are incredibly important when it comes to the trajectory of your life and where you're going to go. You know what I mean? So even though we all wanted this for ourselves in our heart, there's no change being made. And I didn't know what to do because I knew that I needed something deeper for myself. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know anything. And I told my mom this. And my mom was like, well, guess what, Hoya? I have a trip planned for us early 2016 to go to Somalia. So I'm excited. I'm like, yeah, we're going to Somalia. This is lit. My older sister lives out there. I'm so excited to see her because I'm missing the sisterhood, right? Because I have 6 brothers. All this masculine energy around me. So I'm like, oh, I can't wait to see my sister. I can't wait to go out there. You know what I mean? And And I didn't understand how important that trip would have been, was for me. You know what I mean? So I'm telling my friends, I'm like, you guys, I'm going to Somalia, da da da. And everybody's like, oh, you're not afraid of being left? I'm like, no, I am not actually.
Are you sure you're not being kidnapped?
I was not afraid, you know? So I remember the day of my flight.
Yeah.
The day of my flight, you know me, Miss Waregle, like I'm all over the city. So 2 hours before my flight, I come home.
Yeah.
I come home and I'm in the car with my friends. I'm still friends with one of the girls who was in the car till this day, okay? I'm in the car with my friends and I look at them. I look at them in my crop top and my hair done. And I'm like, you guys, I'm leaving and wallahi, I'm not coming back the same Faysa. And I hope you guys understand that.
You wait. Wait. Plot twist. You sat down, basically your friends.
Yeah, they dropped me off home.
They dropped you off home, and
Yeah.
you had
Yeah.
a conversation.
We were just talking casually, and I said, you guys, I'm leaving, and I'm not coming back the same Faysa.
You said Hannah Montana.
Yeah.
It's a wrap.
Yeah, it's a wrap. It's a wrap.
I'm living one life.
That's
It's
it. It's it. And I remember, you know, obviously,
Wow.
right? We're young.
Yeah.
What am I, like 21 at this point? We're young. I'm just like, we're not looking outside of ourselves.
But you were.
I was at this point.
Oh, yeah.
I was dedicated. I was dedicated because I was hurt. I was hurt intensely, deeply. You know what I mean? And the way that I decided to live wasn't helping. So now that this war I have
coming to an end.
For no reason.
Yeah.
Arms up all the time, fighting nothing. Like fighting what? Fighting what's good for me. So my shaitan is allowing me to fight what was good for me, and that's nearness in Allah. So that isn't working for me. So I look at my friends. Wallahi, Allah's my witness. I look at my friends and I tell them, before I hop on this flight, 2 hours before this flight, after Wareg in the whole city, you guys.
So basically, you had the time. Wait, let me get.
I had the time of my life.
Okay?
I knew what time it was in my
With your crop top and your hair top, okay? Looking like a hot girl summer.
Yes.
And when it was done in a wrap, you looked at them at the end of the night.
2 hours before my flight.
2 hours before your flight, you said, "No, listen here now. This is my last day.
That's it.
And when I leave and come back, I will not be this person again." And it's a wrap. And you did it with conviction. Like
With
you
conviction.
knew this was the last.
I didn't
rodeo.
know what it was. I didn't know what it was that I wanted to do, but I knew that what I was doing, I wasn't happy with.
You weren't. But it's not. But can you tell me a little bit about how the fact that like you could live a life and appear to look like you're happy, but you're not?
Yeah.
Isn't that wild?
I know. And I think social media plays a big part in that. Because at this time, I remember 2014, 2015 is when Instagram started popping off, right?
It was cute to look outside doing things.
Yeah, so,
looking cute.
So I feel like I utilized that to make myself be this it girl.
Yeah.
Right? Like I was that it girl.
I heard you were. So that's the thing though. And for the listeners that don't know, you were that it girl.
I was
like
that
we're
it girl.
talking about like, and I'm not talking. You were always sweet. We're not talking Regina George it girl. I mean like Regina George with all his status, cute, look at everybody. No, I swear to God, you were that person. And it was to me, it was like wow.
But
like,
that's what I wanted, right?
Yeah.
Because when I heard, oh Faysa, I heard you lost your mind, you're crazy. I said, how can I flip this?
You didn't like your image.
I didn't like that. I didn't want that sorrow. And I'm still like that till this day. That's something maybe I need a lot of therapy for. But I'm not really good at the sympathy. I love empathy. Feel with me.
But don't
you know
feel
what I
sorry
mean?
for me.
But don't feel sorry for me.
Yeah.
And so when I heard that, I was like, how can I make sure this whole city thinks I'm at the top?
So you basically rebranded.
I rebranded in the worst way possible. Truly, when you look back, right?
Yeah.
So
you rebranded of what society said was a rebrand.
Exactly.
Like acceptable.
Exactly.
So you chased that and you got there. And you're at the height of your rebranding.
The height.
And then the last 2 hours before your flight, you looked at the height of rebranding. You said, it's a wrap. I'm about to rebrand again.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be this person. And that's it.
And I left.
You left Somalia.
I went to Somalia for 3 months. And it was the best time of my life.
Let me tell you something. Traveling can change your life. And the reason why traveling changes life is that you recognize that you don't live in a bubble and that the world is far more larger than you think. And that people are tested in all different ways. And it provides you something so valuable. Perspective. And if you remember all of the episodes before, I traveled, Mona traveled, Lena Ahmed traveled. Something about traveling, something about going to a foreign place and seeing how people live and seeing the things that they are trying to move past, trying to rise above. You recognize that we're actually all in this together, and that you're able to kind of accept the difficulty. You recognize it's not just me. It's not just me. And then all of this is just part of life. And that humans are far more resilient than we give ourselves credit for. And that's what Somalia did for Faysa. It allowed her to take a step back, look around, breathe a little bit, accept the quiet, see what's going around, investigate it, question, and really dig deep.
So I'm out there and I'm dealing with so much inner workings of myself. So much that I've been avoiding. So I spent 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015. That's 4 years. I never had 1 second alone. And anytime I had a moment alone, it was never safe for me mentally. So I avoided it. So now it's just me, my mom, and my brothers. I'm already close with my brothers. I'm really close with them. You know what I mean? And so I'm having a good time with them. I'm with my mom, who I can see that she's happy and she sees that I'm happy, and we're with my older sister, her oldest daughter, and we're all happy, we're like this little, and a piece of me just feels good, feels good for once. And I liked it. And I was just like, how can I continue this feeling? You know what I mean? So I'm looking deeper within myself. And I remember, you go to these places, like, right? You go to Somalia, you go to Africa, and you see a lot of tragedy. And you see how they move about it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They're not very like wallow. Mm-hmm. They're not like the wallowing type.
They don't dwell.
It's like we move. Mm-hmm. Right?
But they kind of move with this understanding.
Exactly.
It's not a move of like, oh, the trauma, like they don't want to think about it. It's like they come to peace with it quickly.
Yeah. Up until this point, no understanding, right? I don't understand my Lord. I don't understand my deen. I don't understand what's what and why things are the way they are. And I remember my older sister, teaching me a few surahs. It was Surah Fajr. I remember her teaching me that one, right? And just being shook. It talks about Judgment Day.
Nah.
The way it hit my soul was different.
Yeah.
Because it made me feel small. For so long, I'm this super confident, borderline cocky person who I was so full of myself. I'm in my own world. So learning that surah made me realize how small I was in the grand scheme of life. And it humbled me real quick. Real like that.
There's nothing could humble you than the Quran itself.
Oh my God, subhanAllah. When the deen touches you for the first time.
It's like you're high. I'm sorry. It's like this unexplained euphoric moment. And it's so crazy. Until today, I don't think I'll ever get the high that I felt the first time.
I know.
Do you know, now being there for so many years, I'm like, I still remember the euphoric when it's like almost like you could see a lot. It's like the veil was removed.
It's crazy.
And you start seeing the world different. Like, damn, this is what's been going on.
You really like it's I remember reaching that
euphoric moment.
That euphoric moment.
Yeah.
And being in no phone, no friends, no distractions, no music, no nothing. It's me in the other part of the world. It's me, the Quran that I have on YouTube, because I didn't have the actual physical book and I couldn't read it.
Yeah.
So, and it's whatever my sister taught me, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here and I'm crying because I'm by myself.
SubhanAllah.
And I have to figure out my emotions, right? I have to figure out what I'm dealing with deep inside. And I didn't know how to. And I'm crying and I have to turn to Allah. I've been fighting this for so long. It's time, right? So I do. the feeling that I felt.
The surrender.
I'm telling you, you never feel it.
Never.
After the first time, you don't feel it like
Not-
that again.
Not to that level.
Not to that level.
Not
It's
to that
true.
level. Every time it's almost like we're in a rat race to get back to that.
Exactly.
But it was almost like it's when Allah gives you hidayah,
Yeah.
He gives you hidayah. Like it's almost like He presents Himself to you.
Yeah.
It's just like you be crying, you don't know why you're crying,
I'm telling
and you just feel open and all of a sudden it's as if you can see Him in full 6K.
I'm
You know what I'm
telling
saying?
you, yeah.
And it changes you forever.
Exactly. And I feel like for me, right, in this moment, there was still lack of understanding,
Mm-hmm.
but I was feeling something.
But that's the the interesting part is a lot of people think that in order to feel that you have to
to
know a lot.
No.
And it's not, subhanAllah, it is so far from the truth.
Yeah, I didn't know nothing. I didn't even know how to pray.
Yeah.
Halal right there taught me how to pray. I didn't know how to pray properly. I knew
Yeah.
the actions, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah.
But you have to understand too that like if you're not continuously keeping up for something,
You forget.
You forget.
Na'am.
So halal right there. So I'm in Somalia. I didn't even know how to pray abaya. And I'm too embarrassed to tell anybody I didn't know
Or
how
your
to
mom.
pray.
I had a similar situation. I talked about it first episode. I was too afraid to tell my mom. I didn't know.
Yeah, I didn't.
At 20, I said, "There's no way."
There's no way.
It's like saying you don't know the ABCs. That's what it felt like being a Muslim. It's like saying you don't know. But remember, that's our own shame. That's not anything anybody put on us. You know what
Exactly,
I'm saying?
yeah.
Anybody can start anywhere.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And I learned that after.
Mm-hmm.
But at this time, I'm like, I can't tell Fatima, I can't tell Hoya, I can't tell nobody that I don't know how to pray. So I'm just doing the actions and making dua, right?
Yeah.
So I'm doing the actions, I'm making dua, and I'm crying.
Yeah.
And the next day, I remember, so it's me, my brothers, my sister, we're watching a movie in the living room.
Mm-hmm.
My mom is out with one of my other brothers, and boom, huge bomb.
Excuse me?
A huge bomb happens
In Somalia.
in Somalia. The windows open, everything
Wow.
just like,
Shaking.
shaking and everything. So and I never felt that type of fear in my life.
Subhanallah.
And I remember that was the day I started praying 5 times a day. And I never
You heard a bomb and said, I'm so sorry.
I said, no,
I'm
death
about
is
to
near.
meet God, right? Death is right. Is at my foot doorstep.
It's at my doorstep.
You're telling me Malibu Moat was in my area? There's no way.
There's no way.
There's no way.
There's no way. So I spent the rest of my trip in reflection. I was in awe.
Yeah.
And now I'm realizing, like, the sun, like, look how big it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, who created this sun? Who created the sky? Look at the sea.
You start getting that Al-Huda feeling.
I'm
You start reflecting.
Girl, let me get to the Al-Huda part of my story, girl. I got a lot to say. I love that place.
At this point, Al-Huda needs to endorse us because the amount
telling
of times
you.
we talked, and that's how incredible they are.
I
SubhanAllah.
recommend Al-Huda to everybody all the time.
And they do it, by the way, they do it online.
Yeah,
for those
now,
who are wondering.
yeah. When I get back, inshallah. But so I'm reflecting. I've never seen an ocean before.
Mm-hmm.
This massive ocean, right? I'm seeing the people, how they conduct, how they move themselves, how they act, how they deal with grief and trauma. And in the grand scheme of things, when I'm there, it almost seems like my problems were so minuscule
Yeah.
and so solvable.
Yeah. SubhanAllah.
And I remember my sister and me going on a walk. We seen this woman, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she was like asking for money or something like that. And she wasn't crying. She was very happy. My sister's talking to her. And me and my limited Somali, right? So I'm like not really understanding what's going on, right? Mm-hmm. And my sister was telling me the lady's story. And apparently like 3 of her kids died in that same bombing or something.
SubhanAllah.
So subhanAllah. And may Allah grant them Jannah. And I remember, I'm like, what? That does not look like a woman who lost 3 of her kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the other day. She was so like, mashallah, like, she carried herself well and beautiful. And she kept saying, alhamdulillah. My sister's saying they're doing their condolence, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. You know what I mean? What can we do? Alhamdulillah. I'm talking to my sister about my grief, right? And what I'm dealing with. And her and my mom were the ones who taught me sabab, right? That's a Somali word, right, guys? Sabab. What is it? Like the reason. So they taught me, you were just the reason. When Fortune was born, Allah wrote why she was going to die. And you were just a sabab. You were just a reason. You have to understand that, Faysa. You are not the cause of it. Maybe your purpose in this, maybe the reason for your sisterhood was for that moment. You don't know Allah's plan. You don't know Allah's plan. And I'm thinking about this, right? I'm thinking about this because for so long I lacked that understanding, right? And I'm still in the process of learning, right? I'm still in the process of learning. So now I come back from Somalia. I have my hijab on, right? Still wearing pants for most of 2016, right? So I have my hijab on, and I remember the kind of reactions you get from people, right? So it's almost like, oh, I give you 60 days. I give you 30 days, 90. So like everybody's making bets, and it's all joking and it's all funny, right? In the moment, we're all friends, right? But it really did hurt my feelings at that time.
Wait, people are doing bets about what?
Like how long it'll take me to take off my hijab.
Shut up.
I swear.
What?
And in a very joking manner. I don't think their intentions were to put me down. I'm seeing the friends that I'm with, and I'm seeing that, like, whether it was intentional or unintentional, the support that I thought I could get from them wasn't really there, right? So now I have to find new friends, right? I have to find a new, I have to find, and it's
a new tribe.
That's a very difficult thing to do. And I tried, like, it was very hard. Something that isn't really talked about either is it's very hard to transition, right? From like non-practicing to practicing.
It's the most difficult because you have changed your whole life.
You have to change
You have to flip it. It's
completely.
And you have to sever relations you have for years if it doesn't benefit you. And that's how do you do that?
How do you do that?
How do you do that when these were your dogs, your whole life? And they
12,
had your back.
13 years, I'm telling you.
And they're the ones doing these weird, lame jokes about, you got about 90 days before you're going to take off your hijab. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I can't imagine, like, it's easier just to stay with them, bro.
It is.
Than it is to switch your whole life.
Exactly.
And the uncertainty of that.
And I remember just being put in very uncomfortable positions that compromised what I wanted for myself and what I was trying to get away from.
And change.
So I think, so I met up with Halal. Was that Halal?
You gave her a ring ding. You said, sis.
So Halal became a little bestie, me, her, and Bella for a bit. You know
Bella's
what I mean?
her cat, by the way. Bella's the cat. Her cat passed away. We can't say Allah yarhamah to a cat, can we?
That's a good question.
Yeah, we can't say. Guess what? When her cat passed away, side note, when her cat passed away, we stood around like, should we do janazah? We
Bro,
just looked at each other
I actually was so sad when Bella died.
It was a very weird thing because I think for a long time we treated Bella like a real person.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, and so when she passed away, it was as if a real person passed away.
I know.
And we just stood there, and it just didn't feel enough just to cry. We wanted to make dua. We wanted to like, stand. You know what I mean? We wanted to give her her due diligence.
Bella is the best.
She's the best.
She's the best.
But good thing about Bella is that she doesn't have any tests.
Exactly.
She goes where she goes.
Exactly. So where were we? Yeah. So I'm chilling with Halal. I'm chilling with Bella. I'm chilling with Asha. Like we're all chilling. You know what I mean? And I'm like hiding. I have to hide, right?
Yeah.
I changed my number. I won't forget. You know what I mean?
You did not change your number.
Listen, I'm the queen of like disappearing. Like, listen, if I don't want you to hear from me, you will never hear from me. I promise you'll never find me ever. So I disappeared, right? I still kept in contact with a few of these friends, but I just distanced myself.
Yeah.
So now I'm getting closer with Halal, right?
Yep.
And Halal goes to Al Huda, but I'm in the middle of moving from Scarborough all the way to so I'm like, how can I go to Al Huda, Halal? Like, this place seems like, but it's so far. I don't have a car. Da 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 da. And Halal she was teaching me how to pray those times. Halal was like, she's taking me from step one. And I remember she's like, just go to Duxie. Because she did the Duxie with the little kids. I'm like, no, girl, I'm sorry. I'm not doing that.
Because she did that. And she did that. Biggest advocate. She goes, either you want to learn Quran, let's go to kindergarten.
I'm telling you.
You lost to them. You lost like human being.
I know.
I don't know how she survived that.
And you know what? Allah blessed it for her, though.
He did.
Look, and now we have
like the biggest heavy hitter.
MashaAllah. So I wish. And now looking back, I wish.
Yeah, we did it, right?
I wish I did it.
Because we probably would be where she's at.
Yeah, exactly. But I refused. I said, Halal, if you don't sit here and tell me my Alif Bataz right now, sis, I'm not going nowhere.
And keep this a private affair. Don't tell anybody.
Don't tell nobody. I don't know why, right? Like, why are we so shameful of it?
I don't know. It's this weird thing about being Somali and being prideful. Because Somalis are very prideful about how our kids are Muslim.
Racist,
Not only are they Muslim, they're Quran competition winners.
Exactly.
They're Hufads. They're, you know what I mean? Like, that's the thing that Somali parents were proud about. Imagine if you were below the belt. You didn't want to talk. You don't want to out yourself.
I know.
That was the thing that they carried like a flag.
Exactly. So you don't want that, right? I remember moving to a certain area that was a bit closer, but I didn't have a car. That's what it was. I didn't have a car. So I moved and I was telling Hoya, I want to go to Al-Hada. She's like, Hoya, you know my mom? So she's like, okay, now we're going to get a car. Don't worry. So she's scrambling and I feel so bad, right? And like that's like the definition of my mom. She always wants to make everything easy for us, you know? And I felt bad. So I'm like, you know, I've reached this point in my iman at this part, right? Where I'm not even like, there's no if, ands, buts about it. If I want it, if I need it, I'm asking Allah in dua. Like I'm praying for it. And I'm asking Allah in dua, Ya Allah, make this easy for me. Grant me this. Because up until this point, like this is sometime in 2016, middle of 2016, up until this point, the only source of happiness I got within me was everything I was learning about the deen, about my Lord, all of this was continuously making me happier. So I make dua. I'm like, Ya Allah, please, Ya Allah, allow it. If it's for me, allow me to go to Al-Hada. Either I'm lying. If I'm lying, I'm dying.
Yeah.
9 a.m. the next day. 9 a.m. the next day, a dear friend of mine knocks on the door. Faysa, I heard you moved here. I said, who's this? She's like, oh, it's me, you know? It's so-and-so. And I'm like, hi, Baya. Oh, my God, you live here? She lives right upstairs.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, I'm actually going to Al-Hada right now. You want to come?
Shut up.
If I'm lying, I'm dying. I'm
Shut
telling you, girl.
up.
Wallahi.
The night before you make it, I'd go to Al-Hada. And the next day,
the
somebody's
next
knocking.
morning, 9 a.m., we don't have each other's number. I don't know how she knew I moved there. Wallahi, we have no contact with each other. At this point, I didn't have social media, so I went ghost, right?
Because you went ghost. You disappeared.
So, what? Like,
it's like, so Allah sent her. Allah sent her. You asked and He sent her.
I'm telling you, that's the power of Allah, right?
Wow.
So now I'm in Al-Hada, and I remember the battles I was going through with Al-Hada internally, because every day I would come, and we have the sister who was doing the tafsir, teaching us, and it scared me. It scared my soul, right? And every day I battled with something deep inside that I know every Muslim goes through. The doubt, the shaitan, right?
Yeah.
The shaitan in your head,
You
the
can't
doubt.
do it. You can't do it. Why are you here? Look how misplaced you are. Yeah.
As I'm saying, so I had this constant doubt. I'm doubting what I'm hearing even. You know what I mean? And I kept going home. I would pray. I would make dua, Ya Allah, like, make this easy for me. Let me see and understand your Quran, because I want to. You know what I mean? But in the beginning, it was just a bit difficult for me because the Quran is so real. You'll never, ever read anything realer than the Quran.
Or like it.
At all. So when I'm not only learning the Quran for the first time, but somebody's explaining it to me in detail.
And its context. Yeah, it's crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And it hits you in a place like no other. Subhanallah.
Yeah.
So, and the way the way she says her message and the way she every day I would go home, I would cry, I'd make dua, I'd come to Al-Hada the next day, and the thing that I'm battling inside, the next ayah is about it.
Wow.
Subhanallah.
Wow. So wait, I have to take this in for a minute. Give me 1 second.
Take a moment.
Let me just drink this water. Oh my goodness. She's Faysa came here to tell a story.
Girl, digital sisterhood. I'm the real storyteller.
No, I might just give you my job because I don't know what I'm doing here.
Adad, you A1 says.
No, I don't know what I'm doing here. I never felt more fraudulent. But let me tell you something.
Yeah.
So basically, you would go there with all the doubts, and then you would hear and you'd be touched. You'd go back, and then the thing that you're thinking about, you come back. You would hear a verse that was speaking to you
directly.
You felt like it was talking to you.
110%.
Did it scare you?
So much.
Wow.
So much. And I just felt like at my peak, right? I felt like at my peak. Alhamdulillah for Al-Hada. I don't know what I would have done without Al-Hada.
All praise is due to Allah.
All praise is due to Allah, wallah, because Al-Hada, like, it was it was the thing I needed because it was first. I didn't want to be baseless, right? I wanted to know something, and I felt like, yeah, I'm doing my alif ba tas and stuff like that, but I wanted to know.
Fahm, you want to understand.
I wanted to understand because, again, like I've been saying this whole time, I lacked understanding, right? So I wanted to understand. I really, really wanted to get to that point in my heart where it settled with me. Like I understand Allah's plan, Allah's decree.
I understand Him.
I understand Him, what he means for us, you know, what He's doing for us.
What He's been saying,
Why the Quran is important for us.
What is it here for? What is our mission? What is our purpose?
Exactly. The more I delved into our beautiful religion, the more beauty came to me, Abaya. You know what I mean? Now I'm gaining weight, like a healthy weight. You know, I'm gaining weight. I'm literally like when I'm happy. I'm happy. You know what I mean? For the first time in years.
You're at peace.
When I smile, it's a real smile. I'm around people that make me better. Sometimes I think of the mercy of Allah, wallahi. And I sit here and I think like from the beginning of the story till this part, right? Where it's like, I actively went against what I knew, what my fitra knew what was good for me, which was following the deen of Allah, which was understanding who Allah is. Like I actively went against that, and all I needed to do, all I ever needed to do was from the beginning
was turn to Him.
And Allah showed me His mercy tenfold. Wallahi.
Wow. It's, you know, the hadith where it says you walk and Allah comes running.
I'm telling you.
It's real.
I'm the walking example of it, right? Yeah. And there wasn't a dua I made that didn't happen for me, whether in the way I wanted or the way Allah decreed it for me. And it's reaching the end of 2016 and I'm at the pinnacle of my happiness, we could say, right? In terms of my Islam, in terms of my deen, in terms of my akhlaq, right? Because remember, I told you, for so long I felt like I was becoming a bad person, right? Where how I treated people, who I was to people. So now I'm in this place where I don't have to anymore actively think about how I'm treating people. Like my consideration comes naturally because I'm following the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam sunnah, and I'm following what Allah asked of me to do. And in that, I'm becoming considerate. I'm becoming a better person. I'm thinking about other people's feelings. So everything that I wanted for myself is happening because I decided to turn to Allah. Right? And at this point, it's 2017 now. And at this point, I'm wearing hijab for a year. I was so proud of myself. 2016, I'm wearing hijab, and now I'm wearing abayad, by the way. So I stopped wearing jeans, and I threw out all my clothes. How about that? You know me, I love my clothes. You know, I threw out all of my clothes. Wallahi, I threw out everything. I owned maybe 3 abayads and a few hijabs. And I dedicated every outfit after that to be like halal, you know, like whether halal, it's a skirt or a top or something or a abayad. The modesty. So there was a point in my journey where I came to this understanding and I felt peace about what transpired between my sister and this accident. I felt immense peace about it. And seeing Hilal or seeing Layla and knowing that they were 2 people that were incredibly close to my sister and seeing their lives and how much they loved her. You know what I mean? And wallahi, I like, this is why it's so important to have good friends, right?
Yeah, they even when you pass, they still give forward for you. It's crazy. And I remember Hilal and Layla, they dedicated so many things to her.
I'm telling you.
SubhanAllah. When they talk about their practicing, they give, you know.
I know.
They give it to her. They say, you know, it was fortune that got us here.
Exactly.
And, you know, and it's beautiful because that's what good friends, the right ones are supposed to, right?
Exactly.
Is that even when you pass, they put something forward for you, even for your akhirah. You know what I'm saying? That they're still thinking of you when you've already been 6 feet in the ground.
Exactly.
SubhanAllah. May Allah give us friends like that.
Ameen. And I've reached that point now, alhamdulillah, right? Where I understand and I have peace in my heart about the situation, and I've moved on. I've moved on. Like now this person that I was before, I'm not attached to that person at all. So I hop on social media again, I think towards the end of 2017, like September. And I dedicated a few posts to my sister.
I remember these posts.
Yes. So I remember posting each journal entry, because I do write. I remember posting each journal entry from the day of her every year until the point that I was at then, and the journey I went through, from the depression to the, you know, just being down, to being that, like, you know, to where I am now in my relationship with myself and with my religion, and where and it inspired a lot of people, right? It definitely like was a thing at that time, right? And subhanallah, like I was very proud of myself, and I felt like that was my closure. Like I'm closing this chapter now, and even now I can speak about her, you know. I can speak about her good, her bad, and even what transpired in her death, like I did so publicly today, without feeling that guilt that almost killed me. Through Allah alone, I've accepted my reality. I understand now. I understand that this is not something I can control.
Faysa finally got to the top of the hill. She is past this test. But as the saying goes, Allah tests those he loves. And so Allah tested Faysa again. This episode is brought to you by Beautiful Light Studios. And I'd love to give a shout out to my executive senior producer for producing this episode, Munshir Umar. Do you hear me clap for you? Thank you again for this wonderful episode. I also want to I actually have news for everyone, all my wonderful listeners, that TDS officially has launched their merch. Woo! Let me hit the table. Woo! Our merch is out, bro. We got tote bags, stickers, a mug. We got a mug. We got a tea mug that is so cute. And that if everyone listens to their podcast at Saturday morning, because I know a lot of you guys do, you definitely want to buy that tea, that tea mug, inshallah. So check out our merch on our website at www.thedigitalsisterhood.com. If you go to the store, you'll see it all there. So you already know. Get your merch. Show up. Show out. We here for it. And when you do buy the merch, I want to see it at the Digital Sisterhood, inshallah. I'd love to see it, and how you guys sport your wear. I'll see you guys back next week, Friday. I'm not gonna say noon because we already know what the stish is now. It comes when it comes, and it will come on Friday, inshallah. Because at this point, it's vibes. We're running on vibes. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.